So for SJ, so this is for the Kent Junior County setup. So all these kids that are on here are part of the county setup. So the idea is that we try and keep them engaged and obviously try and inspire them. And you're the person that's going to inspire them tonight, hopefully. That's the plan, and I'm sure that will be the case as well. So I'll just quickly introduce our guest tonight. So Sarah Jane Perry is currently world number 6, highest ranking of world number 5, English and British number 1, current British and English champion, 11 PSA titles, Commonwealth Games silver medal, and winner of the most recent PSA event, the Blackpool Open back in December. So hopefully everyone's looking forward to it. As I've said before, we had Mo last week. I mean, this is an honour for you guys to have SJ on here. Like, it's the equivalent in other sports. This is like a superstar of the sport that you all play. So hopefully you'll enjoy it and get as much out of this question and answer session as possible. So we'll get cracking. We'll start off with one of the girls. Isabel, you got a question?
So if you were to have a match late morning, what would you eat the night before?
The night before, okay, good question. That's a really good question. The kind of performance nutrition side, something that I've really looked into over the past particularly 6 months, actually. So something I'm probably in a slightly better position to answer now. I've been working with a specific sports nutritionist who he only works with athletes, so that's been really, really useful for me. So he would tell me night before I'd eat something like spaghetti bolognese or pasta with like chicken and tomato sauce or something like that. That would be the night before. A nice big portion as well. What you don't do is you don't want to go into match day with any sort of carbohydrate deficits or anything like that. So then on the actual match day, you tend to eat a little bit less before your match, because you don't want to be too full then, do you? So pasta the night before, and then something nice and quick and easy to digest. If I was playing late morning, so as Ben said there before, at the Blackpool Open, that I did one before Christmas, my morning breakfast, I played at 11 o'clock in my first match there, and my breakfast was and the parents probably aren't going to like this, but my breakfast was pancakes and banana and honey, and then a bowl of cereal as well. And then about 90 minutes before, my nutritionist's favourite snack for all athletes, 90 minutes before, if just kind of stave off hunger. You don't want to be hungry while you're playing, but you don't want lots of food in. So his favourite snack for us is a Rice Krispie Squares bar. So one of those and a banana 90 minutes before. So that's not my normal training nutrition. That's definitely competition nutrition, that one.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that Rice Krispie one. But I remember, this is going back a few years, when Rio Ferdinand had his ban for whatever reason it was, and he had his first match back, and halfway through the match, or first half or whatever it might have been, someone chucked him, and it was I'm pretty sure it was a Rice Krispie bar back then.
Was it?
And I actually remember thinking, that can't be right. Why are they eating that?
No, it's carbohydrates, quick one that's going to not, you could probably eat 10 of them and it's not going to sit on your stomach. So the other ones he likes are things like, the mini lunchbox saurine, so like the banana, particularly the banana ones are those, or even if you're going to eat your Haribo, eat them 90 minutes before your match.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, Josh Dubert, have you got a question for SJ?
How mentally did you come back from 2-0 down against El Hamami?
That's another good question, actually. A lot of years of practicing it, I think. I think one of my biggest attributes in squash actually is just that I don't like to give up. I'd rather leave absolutely everything out on the court and see what could happen that day than just give up when you're down. And I think that match was a real testament of, well, if you just keep going, you just keep chipping away. And I knew I wasn't playing my best, but I just kept trying to see if I could play a little bit better, if I could get a little bit better, keep trying to make good decisions of what shot to play and everything like that, and just try and stay focused and positive. So I think I tried to, obviously coming back from when you're 2-love down, it's going to be a huge effort to come back, but I tried not to think about, I definitely wasn't thinking about trying to win. But at the same time, I wasn't necessarily thinking about losing either, trying to do what I could do, give myself lots of positive instructions, but also I wanted to make sure that she knew, even if, no matter what, even if she was 2-love up, that I was going to fight till the end, so that next time she has to play me, that she knows no matter what position she might get into, that there's always going to be a fight, and I'm always going to keep going. So I think it was. I mean, eventually, obviously, I won, but even if I hadn't, as long as I have that attitude and I tried everything I could, and tried everything and kept it positive, then I would have been content with my performance. Obviously, I still hate losing, but you can only do what you can do on that day, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was for those that didn't watch the event. Obviously, most people remember the final, but you was tested in pretty much every round, and that, I mean, that was the biggest thing. As much as everyone talks about your racket skills and stuff like that, the biggest thing for that week for me was your mental strength. I mean, you always looked like you was going to come out on top when it got to the tight areas, and you always looked to stay pretty positive, even no matter what the score was. You always was like trying to G yourself up, and that's where a lot of the kids, I think, maybe let themselves down at the moment, is they get down on themselves. And we've all done it. I'm sure you've done it, SJ, when you was younger.
Yeah, I've done it like quite far into my career as well, to be honest. Like, the other one in that tournament sticks out there would be the match against Camille, where I probably should have got bageled in the first game. I was 10-love down, and got a very generous stroke from the referee. But I didn't let that, it was like I could have gone off and been really annoyed at myself that I was pretty rubbish that game, I'm not gonna lie. But that doesn't define, you can choose to let that game define the match, or you can decide to change things and take a new outlook on it. And that's what I did. And obviously you changed that one round as well. So I think it's not a natural reaction necessarily, but the more you practice things like that in practice and in matches and everything like that, and even just almost visualizing how you're going to react to certain situations, then the better you can deal with those, and you can keep, it becomes more natural to keep that positive mindset.
Yeah. Okay, right. Jude File, I think he's got a question for you. I think he's there. I think he's trying to get on. I can hear him clicking. Jude, are you there? Okay, let's come back to that one. Veer, I think Veer's got a question.
Hello. I was just wondering what you go through mentally before a match. What do you think about what you do?
Yeah, that's really important. I think I like to speak, have a conversation with my coach, probably, anywhere from a couple of hours before to even right up to just before I start my warm up, depending on when he's free. But just to get a clear, a clear kind of picture about my strategy to start with, I guess, and how we sort of see the match going and potential places where I might come unstuck and how we can either deal with that or avoid that. But I think for me personally, I like to concentrate mainly on how I want to play, and not, it's really easy to get kind of drawn into worrying about your opponent's strengths, and actually like that can make me play really what I would call passively, really defensively. And actually I'm an attacking player. I want to play, if I don't attack, then I will get attacked. So attack or be attacked. So I like to go, speak to my coach, then I've got that, formulate that plan with him. Maybe also speak to my sports psychologist before, if I've got anything I'm worried about, or anything I want a particular focus on. Sometimes I try and actually set myself targets on even maybe like a time for the match, because if I'm playing the right way, it's not going to be a really long match. And then I'm going to play aggressively. So against some players, that's might be how I go about it. But then generally from about with about half an hour to go, I like to have my kit on ready, sometimes I put my headphones on. Sometimes I actually quite like to take in the atmosphere of the venue. So depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm feeling a bit distracted, then I'll generally put my headphones on. But otherwise, I quite like to take in the atmosphere, and just as I'm physically warming up, just almost like start mentally warming up as well, which for me might be like visualizing sort of in my head as I'm warming up how I want to actually play some rallies. I think almost picturing myself jumping onto the, playing decent length and then looking for the volley and getting on that, flying into the front when I'm under pressure and defending and things like that. And exactly how I want to play, because the more I think about it like that, the more likely I actually am to do that. And I have like a bit of a mental check-in every 5 or 10 minutes as well. Am I feeling in the mental place that I want to? Am I feeling aware? Am I feeling calm and confident? If I'm not, then I need to just think how I can get there. The same as you would if you're physically not feeling warmed up, you do a bit more warm up and everything like that. So I think that the mental side of warming up is as important as the physical side as well. You've got to be, there's no point your legs doing it all and then your mind switched off and you just whack the ball in the tin 11 times and off you go.
Do you think the mental side of things is something you've focused on more over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think so. I've been working with the same sports psychologist for quite a long time now, but we've probably done a bit more over the last couple of years, particularly like in the actual during the tournaments. So I speak to her quite a bit throughout the week, and she used to play squash herself to a pretty decent level, just outside the top 10, I think. So she knows how it is, and we've got a very good relationship now, and she knows me very well, and she knows what questions to ask me, and I also know what I can get out of those conversations. So we're sort of not going right, this is how I'm going to play and that's the end of it. I want to be this is the only version of me. Actually, we go in and say, well, actually, I'm part of my best attributes as well is my problem solving and being able to change things if it's not working. So why kind of go in with the attitude of this is what I'm going to do and that's it, if it's right, it's learning when to continue if you're just not doing it well enough or it's going to work in a bit, or if actually I need to change. And that's I think become a very important part of my game. The consistency has definitely gone up in the last couple of years, and I think it is a lot to do with that, as well as it's all come into it. all comes together, the physical side and the mental side. I've been working hard on both. So I wouldn't say it's just the mental side, but my mental side's definitely improved a lot over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, physically, all the tough matches you had at Blackpool, but I don't really remember you actually looking tired at any point. So you obviously worked hard on your physical side of stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely the best sort of physical shape I've been in going into a tournament. And that's, again, from a lot of trial and error over the years and working out what works for me. And then trying to maximize my attributes and also work on address my weaknesses as much as possible, but still actually, make your, I think I quite like the phrase, make your strengths sort of super strengths. And I think I found that balance really nicely before that event. And yeah, like you said, although I had some brutal matches, I think from the recovery side and everything, I thought I just managed to nail everything and give myself the best chance. It was five matches in 5 days, which is not, even in a platinum, you don't usually have to do that. So it was tough, but I still felt good at the end of it.
Good stuff. Right. Okay. One of our up and coming girls in our county squad, Renata, I think you got a question.
Yeah, hi. What's like your routine? Like, how do you prepare for a big match, like in a tournament?
I think apart from the sort of so obviously that mental side there, I think the preparation for me probably starts like as soon as you've finished, if you've already played a match in a tournament, as soon as you finish that other match, in just making sure, like I've just said there, you tick every box you possibly can to give yourself that best chance when you walk on that court. So making sure that as soon as you finish that other match, that you're getting your recovery nutrition right, your cool down, so that you don't just get all the, if you've been running around like crazy for an hour and a half, and you just stop, that's not going to be good for your body either. So making sure you get a good cool down, but also get some nutrition in as quick as possible. Generally something like so again, like I take a shake with me that I've made, which is usually like oats, protein powder, banana, and either water or milk. Something is quite simple, looks a bit like sludge but tastes pretty good, and does wonders for you. You need to get that back in as soon as possible. So I think right from that, then making sure you're thinking, right, how can I best rest and recover my body, but also then fuel it ready for the next match, and also then mentally preparing as well. So sometimes I like to watch a bit of my opponent's match, or if they've already played, I'll probably watch a match back on Squash TV, particularly if I've beaten them somewhere before and I can watch that. That's always a good one to watch. But also then on the day, just again getting everything, being nice and organized, so I'm not giving myself extra stress. I've got my drinks ready, I've had my snacks, I've got more snacks with me in case I just feel a bit, I need that. I've got my carbohydrate gels in my bag if I need those while I'm playing. Got everything ready there, so I'm not panicking. So I think it's that being organized to kind of take all the stress away, so I can just think about, right, this is how I want to play, this is what the situation's likely to be like. I can start getting in that zone as quickly as possible. I mean, I'm sure everyone's had one of those days where they're just everything they do on the squash court just flies in, and unfortunately they don't happen very often, but you can still aim for it and give yourself the best chance of getting there. But it's that, preparing yourself. I'm not naturally very organized, so it does, I have to give myself a bit of a kick up the bum sometimes, because I like to leave things till the last minute. But if I'm packing my bag 5 minutes before I need to get on the bus, and that bus is going to leave without me or not to the courts, then I'm going to be stressing a little bit. So we'll do it 10 minutes before instead, so that's all right.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my pet hates when we go away for tournaments, and some of the kids that are on this call tonight, and they go to play a match and they do the knock up or play the first game, and then they come out and they go, "Oh, I haven't got a drink." It's like, well, you should have done that. You should have done that 5-10 minutes before you played your match. It drives me crazy. Like you say, you just got to be organised, get yourself sorted way before.
Yeah, even like the tournament we had in Manchester last week, you can't get any water at the National Centre, and some of the sinks at the hotel sometimes you can't get your bottle under them and stuff very well. So I literally, before I left my house, I found every water bottle that I own and filled it up with water, so that there was no chance that I was going to have like no water, because I didn't really want to go to the supermarket if I could help it and stuff, try and stay away from everything. And I just, if you can do something to take the stress away, so that means you've got a bag full of Rice Krispie squares and water bottles, then that's good with me.
Okay, right. Dylan, got your question ready?
Yeah, so what was the transition like from when you just turned pro to the top 10?
Quite a long one. So I went to university before I properly turned pro. Every time I play on PSA, it says I turned pro, I think in 2006 or something, or even maybe I think 2006, which is just, I played a qualifying at the local Wolverhampton Open. I wouldn't really class that as my turning pro, to be honest. So I really turned pro when I was 21, when I finished university, and I had a lot of work to do physically. I hadn't really trained properly at university. I'd had a couple of injuries. I'd had to have a knee surgery and things like that. So, and I wasn't sure I was going to play squash. So it wasn't like I was preparing to finish my university and then play. I was just doing uni as everyone else was, which was not to play sports. So I wasn't in a particularly good physical shape. So I had a lot of work to do physically when I finished university, but actually already had I had quite good racket skills already, and that luckily sort of catapulted me up to about, I think within about a year of joining the tour, I was up to about 38 in the world or something like that. So I was already starting to win some small tournaments and things, which was really cool. And I was really, really enjoying that. And I think I could see the progressions I was making and how much I could still improve. So that was really good. And then I think a couple of years later, I got to about 16 in the world in a couple of years after that. And I was still doing pretty well, but then I actually hit a bit of a plateau, and I can't remember if I was about 16 or about 14 in the world, I think, and I just couldn't beat any of the top girls. I started doing okay against them, but I might nick a game, but I was never beating any of them, and it was getting really, really frustrating. So actually my decision then was I decided I needed some fresh input, and I needed to sort of shake up of my routine, my training and everything like that. So I decided to go and work with a different coach. I made that decision, decided to have a look and decide who I thought would be a good fit to coach me. And then, so that was probably about, I think I was about 25 actually, or 25 or something. So about 5 years ago, that happened. And then I swapped to a different coach, which was quite a big thing. So I was 25 and I'd been coached by the same coach since I was 10. So that's a long time to be coached by someone. But I kind of felt like, I felt like they're a really good coach, but it felt like I sort of got everything out of them and really needed some fresh eyes and fresh input, and maybe someone to give me a bit of a kick up the bum as well, which is important for a coach. So if Ben gives you a kick up the bum, make sure you listen. He's doing it because he cares, and it's still you can improve too. So then yeah, I think that was a really important move for me, and it was really, I really hate losing. So I was like going to tournaments and I was losing. I was maybe winning one, maybe two matches, then losing like every tournament, and that was really hard to deal with because I just kept thinking if I try more, but actually I needed to change things. So swapped coaches, and then I was with that next coach for only for about a year, but she taught me a lot about like discipline and training, like discipline of training, and being accountable as well. She would make, she was, we spoke every day about like what training I've been doing, even if it wasn't with her and everything. So that made me really accountable and really take note of, I guess, the detail of my training and the importance of planning and everything like that, which, like I said before, I'm not naturally an organized person, so didn't necessarily come naturally to me, but I started to see the benefits. So then actually, if I can see the benefits of something, then it makes it a lot easier to sort of get on board with. So I think by the end of the year, I'd moved up to just inside the top 10. So it was a quite a long sort of journey to me, but because I felt like I was on quite an upward trend, and then I really hit that plateau about 14 or 16 in the world, somewhere around there. And I had to find a way to sort of break that, and the discipline and everything that was brought into my training in that year then actually translated into my squash, and that's where I really started to get more structure in my play and more consistency, and that's how I broke into the top 10 really. My skills probably didn't improve much in that year, my technical side, everything like that, but my application definitely did. And and it also made me, I guess, then when I came to the end of that year, realized that I'd learned a lot, but it wasn't the coach for me in the long run. So then I swapped coach again. And that's, I've been with the same coach for the last sort of four or maybe about 4 years now, which is really good. And I think I've then learned what works for me and what doesn't. But yeah, it was I think it's like I said with my actual squash before, like it's you've got to appreciate when it's just a long process and you just need to keep on with it and persist. Persistence is, and determination and dedication are huge, but then you've also got to decide when things need to change, and that's sometimes really difficult to work out. But I think persistence and consistency gets that gets you a lot of the way, as well as the so that the talent side got me so far, and then I had to bring the rest of it in, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few of them on here that we'll normally talk about the three aspects, like physical attributes, natural talent, and then mental strength. Not many people have all three. So if you've got one or two, even two, don't just rest on your laurels. You've got to make sure you get all three of them up to scratch.
Absolutely. I think, you hear that phrase quite a lot, don't you? Like, it's hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. And it's a bit of a cheesy sort of corny phrase, but at the end of the day, it's it is true. You get someone like Joel Makin, who is an extremely hard worker, Paul Cole. They're not the most talented squash players. They now improved their skills a lot, don't get me wrong, but they'll tell you they weren't the most talented squash players, but they beat quite a few of the men below them are much more talented than they are, but they don't work, they either don't or can't work as hard or whatever, so they beat them from the hard work side. So when I come up against those players, I just try and make it as little about physicality as possible and as much about skill. But that's quite a hard thing to do.
Yeah, like Paul and Joel wasn't outstanding juniors. What was your junior career like?
I was a decent junior, but not exceptional by any means. I think under 13s, I think I got to like I got to 13 in the country, something like that. Under 15s, I maybe got to 4, and then started to do a bit better. I got to the final of the British Junior Closed under 17, and then I won 1 British Junior Closed when I was 18. So, but I also won the Junior Europeans that year as well, and got, I think I was 17 when I went to the World Juniors and got to the quarterfinals where I lost to Camille. But Raneem won that World Juniors, beating Joelle in the final. It was an extremely strong year when they used to have it every 2 years. So I look back as the quarterfinals as an extremely good achievement there, actually. So it's not like I walked around and won everything, and I was destined to be a top 10 in the world squash player by any means. I think I had quite a lot of people sort of see it as, you know, she's a good junior, but not gonna be any good as an adult player, you know. Mainly because of the physical side. Wasn't very wasn't very, I'm tall, and I was sort of quite strong naturally, but I wasn't very fit when I was younger. So but I think because people said it, I accepted it. So and actually, the older I've got, the more I've realized I've got control over that, not them. So you go do what you go do what you want. And I wish I'd worked a little bit on that more when I was younger, but at the same time, maybe my body it wasn't ready for it, and it didn't want to do it. And actually I might have fallen out of squash before I actually even started, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that we might have a question along those lines later on with one of the kids talking about how you might have changed things. Okay, Matt, you got a question?
Yeah, hi. So when you're in a match and things aren't necessarily going your way, whether it's you're not playing as well as you'd like to be, or you feel like the ref's giving calls that aren't going your way and they should be, what do you do to kind of reset and start and try and get back?
I think
someone's not on mute there. Can just make sure you're all on mute.
I think the first thing I would tell you is that when you're on the court, when I'm on the court, I've realised now that I've got very rose tinted glasses on for decisions involving myself. So I always think I've cleared the ball enough. I always think they're massively in my swing. And even when I watch them back on replay and I still think that, I don't get the decision half the time. So that's another thing I wish I'd sort of realised younger. So I don't get as annoyed about the decisions as I used to. I still do sometimes, but not as bad as it used to by any stretch. But I think I've come to be a little bit more realistic about, well, if I can't get to the ball and I'm getting a no let, is it actually because I didn't hit a good enough shot to start with and I've put myself in a really bad position? So then the feedback I would then give myself is to hit the ball, well, if it's supposed to be a drive and it's short, deeper, or be more aggressive taking the ball in, whatever I need to do to correct that. And so for me, it's all about giving myself positive instructions. So if it's the old, if someone says pink elephant, don't think of a pink elephant, then you think of a pink elephant. Like, so if you're telling yourself not to hit the tin, then you're probably going to hit the tin because you've been so tentative about not hitting it. Whereas, so if I'm making errors on my short stuff, on a drop volley, say, then if I think, you know, I've got a bit of a thought process. Was it the right shot? If it was the right shot, then aim a bit higher. You know, do I need to aim a bit higher? Do I need to be more aggressive? Get on, you know, really get my body weight into it. How can I correct it? So it's what can I do rather than what shouldn't I do? And if it wasn't the right shot, then what was the right shot? You know, and making it really simple and giving myself those instructions. And I think those really you know, they apply to sort of tactically and things as well. So am I giving the middle of the court away too easily to someone? Is it because I'm hitting cross court too much? So if I tell myself not to hit cross court, I'm going to hit cross court. If I tell myself to hit nice and tight down the wall and keep it a bit straighter, then that's how we're going to do it. You know, it's that finding those triggers. I like to call them triggers that work for you. So I don't like to think technically in a match, although I'm a very technical player. A lot of the time, those are all shots that are just because I'm just playing. And actually, if I start thinking about those and overthinking, then it takes out all of the racket's head speed. It takes out all of my last second wrist turn deception, and it goes to pot, and that's not what we want. So I personally think about things like telling myself to look for the volley. You know, being aggressive, looking for the volley helps me get a better position up the tee. Whereas if I just launch myself forward up the tee, then and I'm not looking for volley, then all of a sudden all I've done is stand myself higher up the court and not actually gain any advantage from it. So I think for me, like as well, like I said before, you're never going to play. You know, there's a few days throughout my whole career where I can be like, right, I just played and everything went exactly where I wanted to, and you know they're not going to happen 99.9% of the time. So it's right, where am I at? Can I keep nudging that level up? I'm not going to suddenly go from playing this level right up here, but if I can just keep nudging at this and keep getting a bit better with those positive instructions, and I think that's, you know, that's the best I can do that day, and that's, you know, that's all I can do. I'm not going to go from like 0 to 100 in one jump, and you can't get frustrated at that. It's that real, you know, just keep trying to do a little bit better. Learn from the game as it goes along as well. You know, don't if you had a tactic to hit a shot and they keep punishing you from that area, then, you know, stop doing it and do something else. Like tell yourself to show that and hit deep, you know, if that's hurting you. There's lots of different ways to play squash. There's lots of different ways to win a rally, and if one's not working, there's plenty more to try. And I think that's, for me, I like that problem solving attitude of just keep trying to get a bit better and keep trying something else. And just like I said before, you never know, no matter what state the score is, you keep nudging away how it's going to go from there.
Oh, thanks.
No problem.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. I mean, going back to some of the kids on here that I coach, it's really frustrating when they put their head down, they feel sorry for themselves. Just got to just look ahead. I know it's easier said than done, but just try and stay positive and find a way past that if you can. Okay, Millie, I think you've got a few questions. Do you want to ask your first one?
Yeah. At your elite level, do you think more games are won by technically better players or mentally stronger players?
I think there's a lot of technically strong players. I think there's less mentally strong players, and they're the ones that tend to consistently come out on the top. You know, I think you can't be weak in either aspect, but in the end of big tournaments and the end of big matches and things, it does tend to be who just stays mentally strong and keeps being positive with their game. right through to the end. And you got to trust the technical side, and have confidence in it. But at the same time, if you don't stay mentally strong, that's going to collapse as well. So I'd probably go with mentally strong just on that.
Okay, Sky, I think you've got a few questions as well. Sky, are we there?
Oh yeah. So, would you train differently when you were a junior, given what you know today?
Absolutely. I would. I'd first of all learn to use my glutes, my bum muscles to lunge, and not put all the stress on my knee, which took a lot of flack in my junior career. I'd also buy squash shoes, not just on how they looked, but how they function. I don't know if Ben ever owned any high-tech Vipers, but they were not good for anyone's feet, knees, hips, back, anything. And but I like the fact that they were red. You could get them in red, so I got those. So those would be my top tips to myself, I think. But in a funny way, there's not really much else I would change, because I didn't enjoy the physical side of doing the extra training, and I didn't do it. So until I was later in my later junior years, when I started to see the benefits from it. But I think when I was younger, I liked play-ins, and we had a good training group of kids my age, and that's how I learned, that's how I came to love squash. So in a weird way, I don't think I would have enjoyed squash as much if I'd been number one in the country when I was 13, because my personal journey was learning to beat my brother and the other boys at the squash club. When someone got a bit better, you got a bit better to beat them. It wasn't so serious when I was 11, and that's that's my squash journey, and that's I wouldn't change that. I would my coach when I was younger, he always encouraged me to play how I enjoy playing, and I can't fault that in the slightest. That is it's a great attitude to have, and always encouraged me to use angles and play around with those, and that's stood me really well throughout my career. I probably play more angles than any of the other women, but that's how I enjoy playing, and I wouldn't change that either. I could have maybe just probably I think that's it. Really, I think everything I've been through to get here and how I got there, I think is part of how I play, and so I wouldn't change that, because I think the main thing is to enjoy it, and I love playing, and that's how I trained. So no, I don't just get my glutes to work so my knee wasn't so messed up. That would be great. They work now, so my knee is all right.
Okay, right. Max Sunon, where's your question?
How would you say you get into the zone before a match?
That's a good one. I think, like I said before, I don't always, I think some players have a really specific playlist or song or artist or genre they like to listen to. For me, I think a lot of it is taken in the atmosphere, which is slightly different in COVID times, with very little crowds and things like that. And but I think enjoying doing things to be present, I think that gets me into the zone. So we hear a lot about being present in the last few years, I think particularly, but I think that is taking in your environment, being really conscious of everything you're doing with your warm-up, and kind of ticking all the boxes in my head so that I know I'm ready. I think for me, it's how does being in the zone feel? Is it a physical feeling, mental feeling, all of aspects that encompass being in the zone and doing everything I need to do to get there. So like I said before, if I'm feeling a bit flat mentally, is it that I need some more caffeine? That's sometimes it. So I've always got a pack of caffeine gum waiting in my bag, which acts like it's a lot quicker than coffee, about 10 minutes. But wouldn't recommend it for any of the kids. Quite strong. But that could be it. But also, is it actually linked to the physical side, and I need to get my feet moving quicker? Because for me, if my feet are moving quicker, I feel like mine's moving quicker. And that's part of it. Whether it's true or not, it's probably not true. But for me, if I think it's true, it is true. So is it, do I want to feel powerful? That's part of my zone. If I'm feeling a bit flat as well, then I might do some like quick movements off the tee. I might do some tuck jumps to feel really powerful. How can I get there? So I think your zone is really personal to you, and also probably complements how you want to play as well. I want to feel I want to feel powerful. I want to feel for me, springy off the tee. I want to feel like a little bit actually like to feel a little bit nervous. I think those nerves mean that your body's ready, and you're mentally getting ready as well. Obviously, if you're not nervous, you can't make yourself nervous, but just trying to actually almost go, right, I'm going to go on there, and what's your focus, like have even that focus in the warm-up, like, right, thinking as I'm doing my physical warm-up with 5-10 minutes to go, that last bit of it, I'm going to go, right, when I get on there, I'm going to get the 5-6 volleys, get it back across, and then I'm going to looking for that ball. How can I get in that zone? And so it might be playing around with the music as well, and just seeing how you can get there. Even give yourself some little face slaps. Really make sure you go in as well. Don't get your parents to do it to you though.
Right, let's stay with the two nons. Let's go to Max's sister Ella.
Who would you say is your toughest opponent, and why?
My toughest opponent, I think there's a few pretty tough ones. I think Norel Tayeb always sticks out because she hates playing me and I hate playing her, because we both unsettle each other. But unfortunately, she always seems to nick the win, and it really annoys me because I know she hates playing me, but I can never beat her. So she's a really frustrating one for me. But I think one of the toughest opponents as well it's got to be Raneem, because I've played some absolutely astonishing matches against her and still lost, because nothing, it didn't faze her that you were playing the best you've ever played. She just floats around the court, plays beautiful squash, but but she's such an amazing player and person as well. You can't begrudge her for it either. So you can't even get annoyed at her because you're almost like a squash fan on the court with her. And you think you've done a perfect hold, and she's just so quick that she just waited until you'd hit it every time. And it was like, and actually she's one of those frustrating people to play. Well, I actually did do okay against her, but you always felt like at some point it might be out of your hands, no matter how well you played. So as I'm actually, even though I'm sure I would have got plenty more choppings if she had continued playing, it is sad to see her retire. Such a fluid, basically player of beautiful squash. there's no longer playing on the tour, which is very sad. But some of those matches were very brutal as well.
Yeah, I mean the two players you mentioned are both off the tour at the moment.
Yeah, thankfully.
I think Tayeb is probably talking about coming back. Is that right?
Yeah, she's not decided fully whether she's going to come back or not yet. She needs to come back so that I can actually beat her at least once on PSA before she properly retires. Or I mean, she's younger than me, so probably before I retire. But we'll see if she actually comes back or not.
Right. Okay. Let's go back to Dylan. Dylan has got a regular hitting partner that you probably know. Dylan, who do you normally play on a Thursday night that SJ probably knows?
Chloe.
Which
Chloe.
Chloe Pearson.
Chloe Pearson.
I was like, hey, Chloe. Oh, yeah. No, only known her since she was about 5. Chloe is very. I love Chloe. She's a good personality. She's a fun one. I can't repeat some of the things she said to the referees over the years, but but she's a pretty good squash player, isn't she?
Yeah, Dylan, do you want to just comment on that?
Does she still do the splits? So that's what I want to know. She's just
pretty much.
The splits all the time.
Okay, Dylan, while you're there, have you got another question?
No, I haven't. You did it.
He's too shy to ask it. I was going to ask one about social media. How do you deal with all the people that think they're perfect squash players giving comments on your performance when most of them haven't ever picked up a racket?
Well, I've been getting training on that for many years from my dad, who taught himself to play squash, but then would comment on my squash. His squash was pretty terrible, and he would comment on mine. He still does occasionally now. I know he does watch every one of my matches, and he doesn't normally message me much after, but occasionally I'll get your serve wasn't very good today message or something. So I think I've had many years practice on that one. Took a lot of years to get used to them, but I think social media is one of those things where it's really easy for someone to say anything, and there's a lot of armchair experts, and people are going to have opinions, and that's fine. I think my favorite one was a couple of years ago. I think I beat Shabini, and someone PSA posted about me beating it. I think they put a really brutal rally up, and I think someone commented on it like, "Oh, I can't take her seriously until she looks like an athlete." And I said, and I'm not going to reply to any of these people. You just fuel their fire. They just want you to, but it just made me laugh because I'm going, well, when I beat Shabini, it dethroned her from world number 1. You beat the world number 1, and they're going, oh, can't take her seriously though, because she doesn't look like an athlete to me. And that's really actually makes me really determined to kind of break those sort of stigmas and things as well, because they have their ideas of what an athlete looks like, and yet there's someone in front of them who is performing at the top of the squash world, or very close to, and they're saying they don't look like an athlete to them. And I'm a big fan. I'm a big Serena Williams fan, and there's been a lot of things said like that about her over the years. So actually, I don't get upset by them or anything like that. I train my body to be a squash player and to do that job for in the body that I was given as good as possible. I don't really care what Gary in Wigan thinks, to be honest. But I quite like the fact that people do discuss, not necessarily that, but discuss how people choose to tactically play the game and their technical side and things like that, which are a bit more kind of subjective. I think it's good to have the discussion, but again, there's only I'm not going to really listen to Gary from Wigan about that either. So I did get added to the infamous squash stories a few years ago now on Facebook, and to be honest, I had to just, people tag me and things every now and again, but I just tend to, I've muted it now so it doesn't come up. So if I want to go read something, I can, but I don't see it if I don't want to. If I know I got a lucky stroke or something like that, I don't want to go see 50 posts about it, and it could potentially make me feel guilty or something when I've done nothing wrong. So there's always going to be the armchair fans who think they know better than you, but that's how sport works, and that's what we're putting ourselves out there for as well. So at the same time, you have to learn to deal with it, and I think that's going to be even harder for the younger generations that probably spend more time on social media, and I guess more attached to it as well. It's impossible to not be on social media these days, really. So you need to have that presence for the presence of the sport, but also for your sponsors and things. So you can't not be on there. So you have to kind of have that give and take attitude. But I just tend to laugh at them most of the time, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned squash stories. I mean, it's great that there's a squash forum that's got nearly 20,000 people on it. It shows that there's the interest in the game. But yeah, some of the comments on there can be, well, actually laughable, but also a little bit hurtful sometimes. I mean, obviously you played Gina when it was Friday or wherever it was, and there was a few comments towards Gina, and she hadn't seen it, and I asked her if she'd seen it, and she said no, and I said that's probably a good idea, probably just steer clear of it. But you can use it two ways, I suppose. You can use it as motivation, or you can take it to heart, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure Gina's not she's not going to get disillusioned by that sort of thing. I think she said actually she had a few people messaging her a few tips from the bar at the club afterwards or something. So. They know how to play me. If only they'd messaged her before, it could have been a different story.
They clearly know better. I think everyone on my list has asked a question. I don't know if anyone else has got a question they want to come off mute and ask a quick question. I think I can hear someone trying to come in. No. Sky, I think you had a couple of questions. Do you want to ask another one?
Yeah, I've just got one more. What's your most useful practice tip?
I think having done some practices in the last few weeks actually that I really didn't like. I didn't like the sessions. I didn't set them. I'll put it like that. And neither did my coach before we say that, because he would not set them, because my tip would be to keep things really simple. So I do a lot of practices that probably a lot of the other pros don't do, because they always think they're too simple. I do a lot of drop drive. I do a lot of like Bosch cross court. And if there's a pattern of play you want to practice, then find a really simple way to practice it. And you've got to practice things sort of under less pressure before you practice them under pressure. So there's no point just going, right, I need to hit a better volley drop, let's play games. Well, first of all, you're going to probably practice in a solo, and a solo can be amazing, or it can be a waste of time. And keeping things simple in the solo I think is really important too, but also having a focus. So I think my tips really would be keeping it nice and simple. You don't want to be, if you're doing a drill and you're trying to work out the drill more than what you're actually trying to work on, then it's too complicated. But in a solo, keep things moving, but have a purpose. So if you're working you know, a lot of my solo practices are all on accuracy. So I put a target down for my drives at the back, 3 floorboards, you know, from a certain distance behind the thing. I usually use a square of a box, of a ball box, but right, I've got to hit 50 in the target, and then then I move on to backhand forehand drives, then 50 volley drops above the sin, then 50 backhand drives into the target, 54 and volley drops, then 50 backhand volleys to myself in the service box, or high ones. Sometimes I either do that one or high ones. Then forehand drops, keep swapping sides. So I'm getting used to moving from side to side, but I'm still doing a good amount of each repetition, so I can practice. But it's still nice and simple, but also it's structured as well. So then next time I can go do it, I can time that, and then I can see how long the same thing takes me next time. So it's really simple, but timing it and giving you an amount makes it, like the word I said earlier, accountable as well. So just making things simple, focused, and accountable, you know. And the same off court. If you want to do more fitness and more strength stuff, whatever you want to do, tell someone you're going to do it, and then they tell them to ask you if you did it afterwards, so that you can't get out of it. You know, that's why I get someone to do my program, to plan my week for me. I can do it for myself now if I wanted. I've got enough experience, but the fact that he sets it means I just go and I don't have to think about it. I go and do it. So if you want Ben to check that you've done your little workout or whatever, I'm sure he's more than happy to check in on you, because you don't want to let Ben down. And it doesn't have to be Ben. It can be your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your grandma, your friend, whoever it is, but someone that you know will be honest with you if you've not done it. So I know that was a lot of tips, but they're my important ones. The main one is to enjoy it, actually. So do whatever you enjoy. That's the main one.
When you said about the solo practice, like Mo was on here last week, and I think he amazed most people about the hours he used to do in solo practice when he was young. How many solo sessions do you do a week nowadays?
Not too much at the moment with the limited court times that we've got, but I would usually do probably even 20 minutes. You want to be doing probably 20 minutes 4 or 5 times a week is probably what I do. I know Mo's solos are more like a pressure session. He doesn't let the ball bounce twice for the whole session, I don't think. I don't think that's an exaggeration either. He's a pretty savage, but even depending what you're doing, I think 20 minutes is a good amount on the start or end of a session for you to chunk on without adding the making it too laborious or anything like that. So it could be 5 minutes of drives, 5 minutes of drops, but even 2 minutes of each thing, whatever it is. It doesn't need to be really long. You're better doing 10 minutes focusing on something, on a few things, than 50-60 minutes of just flapping the ball around.
Right, okay, before we start wrapping this up, anyone else got a question if they want to come off mute? Otherwise, we'll look to start to say goodbye. Let SJ get back to whatever she's watching on TV tonight.
Oh, I don't know actually. I finished the series I was watching last night, so I'm not sure. And I don't think there's any football on tonight, so I'm not sure.
I think there might be one game on. Maybe that's tomorrow.
It's Tottenham and Arsenal on tonight.
Oh, we definitely don't want to watch that. I'm a Liverpool fan, if you didn't already hate me there.
You've lost the crowd.
I think I'll leave the call now, thank you.
But no, so I'm not sure what I'll be watching, mate. But yeah, it was really nice to be able to answer all of your questions. And if any of you do have any more questions you don't want to ask now, or you think of any, then send me a message on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or something, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you.
That's brilliant. Thank you from everyone on here, SJ, for your time. I know obviously you're busy training. There's a couple of tournaments coming up next month. I think back to Egypt to defend your title already.
That world title already.
Well, hopefully you get to hold on to it a bit longer.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Good luck for the season, and thanks again from everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.